Call this meeting to order. This is the City of Southfield regular meeting of the Planning Commission, March 19th, 2025. Can we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Bernuti,
Present.
Commissioner Goodwin-Dye,
Present.
Commissioner Griffiths,
Here.
Commissioner Gruber,
Present.
Commissioner Martin,
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Stevens-Gunn,
Here.
Commissioner Willis.
Here.
Everyone's here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any comments on the agenda? And if not, looking for a motion to approve the agenda?
To the chair.
Yep.
Motion to approve the March 19th, 2025 agenda is provided.
Second.
I've got a motion to approve the agenda by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Goodwin-Dye. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Agenda is approved as written. Announcements and communications today?
Nothing additional at this time.
All right, on to the first address, two items, conditional rezoning and a revised site plan review, 24412 Southfield Road.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just go to a quick summary. As you're looking at, this was before the commission previously for a regular rezoning, non-conditional rezoning, and a site plan review. Council declined the regular rezoning to B3. They basically resubmitted as a conditional rezoning, B3 with excluding uses and condition for a right-in, right-out only configuration to the site. So that's why it's back before you. Just kind of going over current zoning is OS, office service. They're looking to go to B3 with conditions, immediately B3 to the south, where we have the school and church. And you have some R3 residential behind, OS office service across the road. Is an expansion to a B3 district that's adjacent to the south. The 1 acre limit for spot zoning doesn't apply because you're expanding an existing district. Local mixed use designation of the future land use plan, which covers kind of all the frontage on Southfield. The B3 is one of the zoning districts that is compatible with that future land use designation. OS also is, and the other B districts. These are the excluded uses that are proposed. This is one of the things that was added since the previous time. They're excluding all of these uses, adult marijuana retailers, both the medical and the recreational, alternative financial services, including pawn shops and like payday lenders, that sort of thing, assembly halls, automobile and truck sale, agency sales, concert halls, drive-in fast food restaurants, funeral homes, gas stations, hotels and motels, kennels and pet daycare, marketing and sale of lawn furniture, playground equipment, outdoors, medical marijuana facilities, motor vehicle washing facilities, open-air displays of motorhomes, campers, and other vehicles, open-air sales of plants, religious institutions, similar places, sexually oriented business and cabarets, shelters for the homeless, small box retail, smoking lounges, soup kitchens, theaters. So these are all the uses that either are permitted or special land uses in the B3 that they are excluding as part of this request. So these would not be possible if this were approved. And as a rezoning, just, this body makes a recommendation, council makes the final determination. Site area, as we can see, it's a vacant property. There's some swales up there on the Southfield frontage, a little small office to the north, some residential to the east. Just an existing survey, vacant property, vacated public alley at the back, and a utility easement. This is the revised site plan. The major modifications since the last piece of the site plan is two things. The island in the driveway off of Southfield now has an island to make it right in, right turn out only, so you can't make lefts in or out. And then they also moved the building and narrowed the excess pavement down and widened the green belt in the back along the screening wall by the residential. It was 5.5 feet in the previous version. It's now 10 feet. So they widened that, added additional plantings. Those are the two substantive changes from the last version that you saw. It's got a green belt screening the parking on the south side, and they've got landscaping also on the north side along the side streets. There are no curb cuts onto the side streets. The only side access is from Southfield Road. Sidewalks would be added all the way around. so that we could tie them into the existing sidewalk network on Southfield, and then future sidewalks that may go down the side streets in the neighborhoods eventually, at the expense of the developer. This is just showing how their deliveries work. They come in from the front, wrap around the back of the building, and pull inside. They use these larger cargo vans, not the box ones, but larger non-cargo box vans that fit inside the building. That is where they do their deliveries, and their removals of waste materials are all done inside the building. Elevations, similar to last time, you basically have masonry, along with some EFS and metal, and then the overhead glass and metal overhead doors. Similar on the sides. Floor plan, you got 3 bays, and then you have a small lobby entry area for customers and public restroom. And then you have your back of house areas and the area to go underneath for the people servicing the oil from the bays underneath. And then I believe the petitioner's present, if they'd come forward.
Through the chair, before the petitioner speaks, Mr. Payson,
Where's Alan? Yes.
are they keeping the vehicular parking zoning as a buffer, or is that part of the conditional zoning?
That vehicular parking buffer is staying.
Okay.
They're only rezoning the OS portion.
All
of the
right, I
site.
just wanted to be clear about
Yeah.
that.
Is the applicant present? I know I sent him a reminder to be here. We're going to have a public hearing in a little bit. There'll be a public hearing shortly. Yeah, I don't see the applicant. I did send him a
Well-
reminder, and he said he was coming.
Let's hold the public hearing, and if he doesn't show up, the Plan Commission can postpone.
Okay. I'm going to switch up the order here. We're going to open up the public hearing at this time. Anything you say will be on TV and part of the record for the city council to review. If you could come in an orderly fashion to the front. Oh, sorry. Public hearing is now open for this item. If anyone would like to speak, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. State your name and address at the beginning. All right, you're first, even though you're at the furthest reaches of, come on up, come on. You're at the furthest reaches of the large auditorium. Please state your name and address.
My name is Reginald Barnes. I am
The
direct-
microphone's right now, so
Oh,
you
I'm
might have to
sorry.
adjust it.
My name is Reginald Barnes. I am the Director of Security and the Building Facility Managers for the Empowerment Church, and I'm actually speaking on as a representative of the church. I have a letter that I sent to the distinguished commissioners, and I don't know if you got a chance to read it. But would I be allowed to read the letter I brought?
We read it.
Yeah, you can read it, or are you going to read it at the end, Tom? Just to-
Well, we've provided it to the commission. It's now part of your packets and part of the record by default, even a reference to it. But if you'd like to summarize it,
Yeah, just,
Okay.
you have 3 minutes, so it's up to you if you want to
All
read
right,
it.
well, what I like to say is that the reason why there were in opposition of this oil change facility is that it, as a institution, what we're concerned about is that the church feels that it will degrade the value of our area. It's also going to create traffic issues for our church area because we're actually next to Silver Maple Road. What Silver Maple Road happens to be is a street that also causes issues for a drive-through in our parking lot. They use our parking lot as a thoroughfare to avoid the traffic signal on Mount Vernon. And the opposite, reverse from Mount Vernon, they use our parking lot to enter on Southfield. Now, by creating this building here for a service center, what we're concerned about is that it's an environment issue with the oil that may be seeping into the ground, the loss of the green spaces that we have because we have wildlife in our area. But it also has pedestrian risk too, because when the vehicles come out, there's pedestrians that cross that area, and there's no way for pedestrians to go when the traffic is already jammed up. As you all are aware that Southfield is a thoroughfare where I-96 or I-696 will be shut down for the next 2 years. So I sent pictures to you to show you the other day. I sat in my driveway there for 20 minutes trying to get in. The traffic would not allow you to get in or get out. That's an issue that's going to be for the next 2 years. So when you start bringing a facility such as this, and people wanting to go for oil changes, well, that's going to create a traffic jam by itself. But we also don't want vehicles staying.
I'll give you an additional 30 seconds because we had to pause, but you're near the end of your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come and speak on this issue, please approach.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Carlisle Stewart III, spiritual leader and CEO of the Empowerment Church, of which our Director of Security just spoke about a few moments ago. And I have a number of concerns that are more related to environmental issues. Not only the traffic that is a potential problem with the freeway being shut down, but also groundwater contamination and a number of EPA issues that are very, very close to my heart. I was looking through the document that was presented that was pretty thorough. It contained numerous diagrams of the drawings of what's being proposed. But I did not see much of anything else related to the environmental concerns. Oil tanks buried, groundwater contamination, and other issues that are primarily a major focus for environmental protection and those kinds of concerns. So I wanted to mention that because it's very, very important, particularly in this era of climate destruction. What's happening globally, not only in terms of air and carbon emissions and all of the other things that we have to deal with politically, ecologically, environmentally, and personally, but also those were questions that I have had in addition to some of the things that have been previously cited. Have there been any studies or any evaluation of the property in terms of that concern or the potential for groundwater contamination and things like that? So I just wanted to make that register as a concern, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Lynette Barnes, and I'm a member of Empowerment Church. And I want to reiterate about the traffic. We already have people that come through our parking lot. We have children at our church that we sometimes take outside and have functions out there. And we've had people shoot in that parking lot because of the traffic. They don't want to wait on the traffic light at Southfield and Mount Vernon, and what they do is they come through the parking lot. I can only imagine what would happen if we have an oil station there and they've got customers where they can't get across the street. They're going to learn to do what everybody else do, which is shoot through our parking lot. We have had people come through there that it goes really fast through the parking lot and disregard to, people that are there. And again, my major concern is the members of the church, also our children of the church also. I don't live in the area where they're talking about putting the oil change venue, but we also have a neighborhood there. That area there is a green area, and we do sometimes see wildlife there. And it would really be, for me, an injustice to put a building such as that in that spot. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I also sent you a letter. C.D. Taylor sent a letter to you relative to this matter. I won't go over all of the things that's already been mentioned because I'm a member of Empowerment Church. I lived in Southfield for 10 years and always known the Planning Commission to always do things in favor of the community and in the best interest of Southfield. And I think, you know, that you folks do the same thing. So I'm gonna break it down to just two words: common sense. This is a common sense decision. This is a fish out of water to try to put an oil change facility in the location that they're proposing. It makes no sense whatsoever. And what we do as a community is ask you to make the right decisions for the citizens, for the city of Southfield, and for Southfield Road. Let them find some other place. There's a lot of places that they can take their business and locate it. I ran a business for over 26 years, but guess what I always did? I always respected the surrounding areas and made sure that the people around the business was safe. It's already been stated, those are all the reasons that we do not need an oil change facility right next to our location. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any additional members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, close the public hearing at this time. The petitioner is still not here.
Is the petitioner or their engineer present? I guess not. That's odd because I sent them a reminder and they confirmed they were coming, so something must have happened. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, again, it'd be unfair to deliberate without representatives being able to answer the questions, and
We
we're
could
not.
move it to the end of the agenda in case they arrive late, and if not, then it could be.
Yeah,
dealt
so
with.
why don't, if we could, postpone any further discussion. And then if you need to, you can make a recommendation to postpone to a date certain so everybody's aware when this might be coming back.
I think that's a good idea. All right. Do we need a motion and a vote? on
No, I think we can just, as long as it's going to stay on the agenda.
it? Okay.
We'll just go to the next
let's move it to
item.
the end of the agenda, and we'll make a motion by the end of the next 45 minutes. Okay. Get out of here. All right. Moving on to the next item. 29410 Northwestern Highway. This is a site plan review.
Yep. As noted, this is where the former Baco's restaurant was located. This was before the commission, I think it was in late '23 actually, for redevelopment for a new restaurant, private club restaurant, smoking lounge, and bar lounge to replace Baco's. As it turns out, they needed to make some changes to the site plan, so this is a revised site plan coming back to the commission. The special land use that was previously approved is still in effect for the smoking lounge and the bar, so that's not an issue. As noted here, the site is zoned B3 currently, which is the correct zoning for this use. It already has its special land use approval. That is consistent with the future land use plan. This is an aerial photo showing the former building, which is no longer there. That has been demolished. They did have demolition permits for that. This is just showing before the demolition. The revised building is similar to the old building to a degree in terms of its footprint because of the long, narrow nature of the site and the need to wrap traffic around it. But it does they really couldn't renovate the existing building because what they found out was doing a smoking lounge, the insurers wanted a different kind of construction to make it more fire resistant in order to be able to operate and insure the property effectively. So they really kind of had to go back to the drawing board to an extent and to resharpen their pencils. As we can see here, you know, the building, like I said, it is long and narrow. It is roughly the same shape and dimensions of the old building. You've got a parking lot in the back, some parking in the front, a valet drop-off area along the entrance side of the building, and then a utility access and exit aisle behind the back on the west side of the building. This is just showing the building. We have kind of three parts of the floor plan. This is the part of the floor plan toward Northwestern. You've got an outdoor patio, an uncovered outdoor patio, and a covered outdoor patio. Then you have your four-season dining area with a couple private dining areas and restrooms. Then you get to the other end of the building and you've got your bar lounge area. Then you get into the area that's the wine cellar and the humidor and the retail sales for tobacco, the cigars, and your kitchen and back of house. And then your second floor area, which includes some VIP lounge areas and patios, and lockers for the staff, and some office space. Let's see if we can get this. Elevations, fairly modern look. Not entirely dissimilar to the previous, but I would say, because it's a new building, they were able to do a little different massing with it. The south exterior there, you see the actual covered part of the patio, kind of to the bottom right. And at the other end, the north end, you see the entrance into the retail space there, kind of on the lower left. The west elevation is the building that's sort of the back where the more utility space and the exit aisle is. That's also tucked back a little further because of the shape of the property. And then the front of the building with the entrances is the bottom elevation there. This is just a close-up around that main entrance. And a couple of renderings just to kind of give you a better sense of what that massing looks like on the property with the different materials and colors that are discussed. And I believe the petitioner is present, if they'd come forward.
Please state your name and address for the record. Summarize the new project on the existing site.
Luciano Del Signore, 852 Canterbury Crescent, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, 48304. I'm the previous owner, chef owner of Bacco Ristorante, and the owner-developer of the new proposed project on the property. And we're looking to build a brand-new state-of-the-art facility that I think will be a much improved building on the site prior to the we had there before.
Okay. Thank you. Anything you'd like to add?
Glenn DeSimone, architect on Prime Design Systems, 2397 Old Kent in Warren. Again, the primary thing you see here and why we're here tonight is it is a new building. The old building was wood construction and in relatively bad shape. So it's all new non-combustible materials, light gauge metal, steel frame, and then we have fire-rated walls when we're close to the property line on the west side there. The operations are basically the same as what you saw in the previous presentation. I don't know of anything else offhand other than to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Yeah, please stay there. We'll open up to the commission for comments. Dr. Stevens-Gunn, do you want to kick us off?
I thank you very much for staying in Southfield and being a tax-paying citizen in our community. We thank you so very much.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Commissioner Martin.
And offering such good food.
Thank you.
Thank you. No other questions.
Commissioner Willis.
I appreciate your commitment to members. Previously, a private club could exclude individuals. Your commitment to have an open facility based on whatever category you want to use. Again, I appreciate that and I support it. Thank you.
Commissioner Group.
I have no questions.
I have no questions, but I'd like to thank you for remaining in Southfield, as previous commissioner said. When you do open, will you need additional employees from the ones that you had? And if you do, consider please to employ Southfield residents if possible.
Absolutely. I think this facility will employ 75 to 100 people, so we're going to be looking for a lot of people to work. And,
Looking forward to your really good food.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did have one question. How much of a change to the square footage of the usable square footage have you made?
It's roughly the same size building. What you have to realize is the previous design didn't fill the whole building. There were several tenant spaces to the north that were other tenants. We've asked them to leave and now take that space. So as far as the footprint of the building, it's, I would say, a couple of 100 square feet different, bigger, but just a couple of 100 square feet bigger, but it's all us now.
Okay.
There are no outside tenants. It's not a multiple tenant structure. It's all us.
It's just the indoor seating that's been changed.
Correct.
Well,
the whole floor, the whole.
No,
Yeah, whole floor.
it's a whole layout, and the concept of what is being, there's different functions here. There's the cigar bar, there's the private dining, there's the outside, it's a lot of different functions going on in there beyond just the restaurant.
I guess what I'm saying is any changes or just in the square
And then we
footage
have
of the
that small
different
retail.
sections that were used.
Well, we have the small retail on the north end. It's just a little under 300 square feet, which is more the takeout for, if you wanted to, buy takeout food or a handful of cigars or something of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think it's a very exciting design. I think it's interesting that you have all the different areas. You have the second floor spaces. You still have the outdoor space. I think you've been in the site a long time, so it's good to have a destination business. It's probably not I'm just driving looking for somewhere to eat tonight. Oh, wait, there's a restaurant. I'm going to stop in. So, it's a good, because it's not very visible, because it's such a long, narrow site, I think you're going to have, people are already going to know you're there and go there as a destination. But I think the quality of the materials and the modern design and everything's great. And we've got some improvements, too, that just meet the zoning ordinance. You're hiding all the ugly HVAC equipment that used to be visible on the west side of the building. And
Correct. That's the basis of our zoning variance, is because we're using the parapet of the building as our mechanical screens, as opposed to individually a mechanical screen in the standard way. So you won't know that there's mechanical behind those high parapets. The actual roof level is only 24 feet, but the rest is parapet and entry. So I appreciate your acknowledging that.
Very, very nice project, and very extensive rework of the site to meet the zoning ordinance and all the things we've asked for. Commission, any further comments? No. All right. Looking for a recommendation from the planning department.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The city, I'll just summarize, we do, on the basis of the site plan review standards, appearance, coordination with adjacent sites, health and safety concerns, pedestrian circulation, privacy screening, site design characteristics, site lighting, vehicular circulation and access. It meets all those standards, so we are recommending a favorable approval by this body, because this is the approving body now. Based on the plans before you, a couple of conditions are just subject to the required waiver by the Zoning Board of Appeals for that setback from the west property line, and that the site be developed consistent with the set of plans that were presented to you today. And also compliance with any Southfield Police Department crime prevention recommendations for security, and then obviously our usual continuous compliance with all applicable ordinance codes, laws, statutes, and all work performed under plans, permits, and final inspections by the city of Southfield.
Thank you. Looking for a motion on this project?
To the Chair, I'd like to make a motion of approval for PSP 25-0001.
Support.
Got a favorable recommendation by Commissioner Bernuti, supported by Commissioner Willis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, favorable
Thank you very
recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you,
Thank you.
Planning Director and Assistant Planning Director, for all your help. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, point of clarification, that's the final approval on?
Yep, that's the site plan, so that's final approval on the revised site plan. So we'll be entering that in, and then they could proceed with their permitting.
Okay, so we're not just favorably recommending to City Council, you are approved by the Planning Commission, which is your final approval until the Building Department and Engineering Department and all those fine folks.
Yep.
After us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
If I could, just in clarification, you said there was a waiver required.
Yeah, there's a waiver for a side setback because actually there's one spot where the roof deck is above 25 feet.
Yeah, and
Most of it is below 25, but there is a spot where it's 26.
30 is our maximum height at the entry.
Yeah,
30 feet is our
we
entry.
don't count the parapet walls, it's the roof deck. So there's one spot where the roof deck measures to 26, and that's what triggered the side setback requirement, which is it's 37.8 feet required, 16.3 proposed. But because the deck is long and narrow, we're likely to recommend approval of that waiver. So they've got to go to the zoning board, but they're already on the agenda, I believe.
15th of April.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're approved pending your zoning board of appeals.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that's clearly understood.
Oh, yes.
Approved subject to.
We understand that completely.
And then, as long as you and Tom agree on the waiver.
Yeah. We went
No,
back
no,
and
we
forth on
took,
it, but we worked it out.
exactly,
Yeah,
no.
but you made a statement
Right.
just earlier that was only 24 feet,
Yeah, and-
so, okay.
Correct.
I just didn't want you to walk away
No,
without.
right, the zoning is a 25-foot allowed, and I'm saying our actual roof is 24 feet, but we have parapet that makes it, as you saw in the renderings, is much higher, and the entry is 2 feet higher than that.
Yeah, the
understand.
entry-level roof deck is just above that. It's the only spot that's above it. The whole rest of the building's below it.
Again, I just wanted to be clear when we said your site plan is approved, it's not a
Understood.
recommendation, it's
Yeah.
subject to the waiver.
Zoning board, yep.
And I want to make sure you guys are on
No,
the same page with
We
the
fully
waiver.
understand
Okay.
that, and are prepared for the next step. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
Next item is at 21375 Telegraph Road, rezoning.
Yeah, we've got this, is an interesting one because it's currently zoned to ODD, Overlay Development District. It was for that Tesla project a few years back that didn't end up happening. Unfortunately, that project was very specific, and the ODD approval was very specific. And when they came back wanting to use the building for just a regular I-1 clean manufacturing use with clean assembly line for electronic components, it wasn't covered by what was approved in the ODD. So in order to make that possible, we have to kind of rezone it back to I-1. So that's why this is before you, is it's looking for rezoning. This is a rezoning, so this would be a recommendation to city council. It'll have to go to city council next month when this body recommends. As you note here, it's ODD, but the surrounding and the prior rezoning are I-1. And then behind it, the Telegraph on the east side, on the west side, you got I-1 light industrial. So it's all industrial in that area. And we've got the Southfield Technology Corridor as the master plan, and this kind of high-tech, clean room, assembly, automated manufacturing really does fit that Southfield Technology Corridor pretty well with regard to its intent. So we think this zoning and this project are a good fit with the land use plan. This is the building itself, a couple years old aerial photo. It was previously in use. This is just showing the entrance in off of Telegraph to the building. It's behind that landscape business. Site plan, the building additions that were approved under the ODD were actually done. It's just that the rest of the project with Tesla didn't go through, so that rear addition and that front addition were completed with permits. They'll have to do some interior work for this machinery that they're bringing in, but that'll be through the building department. Floor plan, just showing the large central area where the manufacturing would occur, their parts and supply storage in the rear, some office space up in the front. Building elevations, pretty much as it exists. And then if the petitioner present, if they could come forward.
Please state your name and address for the record, and then anything you'd like to add about this project.
Amanda Fry, 36750 Menton Street in Romulus, Michigan. So, as he mentioned, this is sort of an unzoning.
Can you move the microphone?
Yeah, sorry, I'm short.
Very tall microphone.
Yeah, so this is basically a request for unzoning because as it's zoned today, we can't use the facility. It's so very narrowly focused that we would never be able to put a tenant in it. So the goal is to have it rezoned or rezoned back to what it was before so we can bring in as he mentioned, a very high-tech manufacturing facility for automated semiconductor manufacturing. So that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah, just through the chair, it's not unzoning, you're just rezoning.
Yeah.
And,
Reversing it.
and then if there's any site plan issues, that'll be done by our department, because we have, in industrial districts, the city planner can do the site plan review. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So you'll be making a recommendation tonight. If the council approves it, any follow-up would happen just directly with our department.
This is a public hearing. I'm going to ask you to step to the side for a second. I want to open up the public hearing on this item. If anyone here would like to come forward and speak on this item, please do so. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Please come back to the podium, to the commission now. Dr. Stevens Gunn.
Again, thank you so very much for doing business in the city of Southfield. I just have one question. Has your potential relationship with the vendor been solidified, or is it contingent upon this approval?
Yeah, so we have a MSA for the management of the facility on their behalf, and we have a letter of intent from them for the architectural and engineering of what it will look like inside once the manufacturing facility, the clean room, all of that, as well as a letter of intent for the build of the clean room.
Okay.
So we're much further along than we were when we met a few weeks ago.
All right, thank you very much.
Mark?
Will this be a 3-shift operation, single shift operation, and approximately how many employees?
Yeah, I would say in this first phase, once we move into production, it'll be 1 shift. And then as they grow, they'll add additional assembly lines. So we're starting with 1 automated assembly line. They're going to get up to 4 automated assembly lines is the plan over the next couple of years. So in the beginning, we're looking at probably 40 employees with a growth plan up to 200 over the next coming years. And that'll be dependent on how many semiconductors they can sell. But they're hopeful.
Okay, thank you very much. These jobs are they technical jobs that wouldn't allow residents of the city of Southfield to apply for?
Yeah, so it's a mix. There will be certain jobs that have to be technical just because of the nature of the assembly line, but there will also be warehouse facilities. It's a clean room, so there's going to be a significant amount of cleaning necessary. There will be office workers, so it'll be a good mix.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just curious, what tenant utilized the building in the past, and how long has that been?
We have not had a tenant in the building at all,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
My only question is about training. Who will be doing that? And to the employee, you said you're going to have just 1 to start, 1 automatic, automatic.
The assembly line?
Mm-hmm.
So-
Will there be training necessary for the people to learn how to do this?
Yes, it's a very specialized piece of equipment that's proprietary to the type of manufacturing that they do.
And you'll have someone that's already
Yeah, they
capable of-
have, the potential tenant has 2 other facilities identical to this in other countries. So those people will come on site, train the new people, and then go back and start a new facility somewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's my other question.
Just want to say that we put in this Southfield Technology Corridor in the zoning ordinance, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, and I don't remember a lot of technology businesses actually seeking a space and to do business in the city. So I think that's a good thing that you're here for this, that you found a building that's the right size, the right location, all the stuff. And then you ran into a weird zoning thing, which is actually a creative zoning thing, but it's kind of simple to revert back to the original zoning, which allows your use, as far as I know. So it's a weird process that we have to explain to people sometimes of why can't I just do business the way I want to do business, but it sounds like you're bringing the appropriate business for the appropriate site, and I think that's a good thing for the technology corridor. Maybe it'll inspire more technology after you.
Yeah, and if it matters, we spoke to Kevin Manns, who's the owner of Manns Landscaping next door, and we also spoke to Avis Ford, and they're both in support of the potential use. So they would be happy to speak if necessary, they said.
All right, excellent.
Through the chair. I just want to piggyback, and then another benefit is adaptive reuse. We are always looking for adaptive reuse of our older buildings, so I'm glad to see this come to fruition. We were excited about the potential for Tesla, and that's why we jumped through hoops to try to create the zoning, but we're glad you're able to make this work out, and for all the things that the chair has stated, we look forward to welcome you here in Southfield.
We have a recommendation from the planning department.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we recommend favorable recommendation of this rezoning from ODD, PZR ODD 22-0005, back to the I-1 industrial based on the following facts. It's consistent with the master plan, Southfield Technology Corridor, and the surrounding land uses, which are I-1 and IL industrial uses. Also, it will remove the project-specific approval that's in place now and permit normal use and development of the property per the standard requirements and procedures of the city. And since the specific project associated with that particular ODD has not gone forward, this really kind of restores us back to the prior status quo and allows the property reasonable use.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we're looking for a motion on the rezoning of this item. That's PZR 25-0001.
Through the chair,
Commissioner Willis.
recommend favorable recommendation for PZR 25-0001.
Favorable recommendation by Commissioner Willis, supported by Commissioner Goodwin-Dye. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, and it's a favorable recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is at 27600 Northwestern Highway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is currently zoned RMU multifamily high-rise. It actually has a kind of a multi-building office complex on it because there's a consent judgment that sits on this property from a prior. It was eventually going to be developed for some high-rise buildings, but there was a litigation, and the eventual settlement led to a consent judgment. So this RMU residential medium multifamily high-rise would have allowed very tall building, but it isn't allowed under the consent judgment. So they're looking to clear the consent judgment, which was done on the two front buildings where the Tiger Market is and the restaurant are. The hotel's the other one in, and then this property, and then a rezoning to RC Regional Center with some, that'll allow, which is what the frontage on Telegraph is zoned, and that'll allow sort of reuse or redevelopment of the property in the future, consistent with with the removal of the consent judgment, consistent with normal site plan and use approvals by regular city procedures with this body and the council. Right now, to do anything with the property, you either have to comply with this really narrow consent judgment, or if you want to change it, you have to go to court and get a judge to approve it. You've got all the parties to agree, then you have to get a judge to sign off on it. These consent judgments were a tool that was used, in the earlier development of the city, but they've left us with some things that are no longer flexible enough to adapt or move forward. So we've seen a few of these cleared or modified, and this is just another case of that. Council has approved a modification to this consent judgment already, but before the applicant closes on the property, they wanted to get the rezoning in place as well. They're doing their due diligence prior to closing, so they were given the permission of the current property owner to pursue the rezoning and pursue the modification to the consent judgment. So just looking at the site now, you got this zoning, which is high-rise multiple family, regional shopping center zoning on the frontage on Telegraph, and then B3 zoning along Northwestern. Regional mixed use covers kind of all those uses, so it's about patchwork of zoning, but the planning covers kind of the range of it. As noted, site aerial, we've got the Glassman Auto dealerships on the west side. You've got the Korean restaurant and the shops there, and then you've got the Tiger Market, and then you've got the hotel to the south on Northwestern. It's tucked back there and doesn't really, it's got this driveway that comes out to the front, but really doesn't have visible frontage on a major road. Here's just some looks at this existing office building, kind of low rise. And I know we have someone here representing the request, if they'd come forward. Ms. Lazarus. Regional shop, so it's regional shopping, not regional center. I misspoke earlier. The rezoning is regional shopping.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, Planning, Terry. My name is Rebecca Lazarus. My address is 7375 East Joy Road in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm here representing George Glassman Automotive Group, who is the petitioner to actually purchase this property from First River's Edge. And they are also in agreement to have it rezoned and vacated from the consent judgment. My client is purchasing the property, but before we do this, we need to vacate the consent judgment because we don't want this encumbrance. As Mr. Payson said, the City Council has agreed to this contingent upon the rezoning of this so that Glassman can actually utilize this property in the future. Currently, there is no plans to change this property at this time. It's going to continue to stay as an office, and the RS rezoning allows them to do the office building, and then in the future to possibly do some type of automotive dealership plan once they get approval from their dealership agreements. So that's basically why we're here.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. I'd like to open up the public hearing for this item at this time. Any members of the public wish to speak, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Dr. Stevens, go.
To Mr. Glassman. Did you tell him what we said last time?
Yes, I did.
Again, we thank him for investing in the city of Southfield and keeping his business here. So, and we miss him. So let him know that we look forward to him securing the property and further developing his business here in the city of Southfield. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Martin.
We look forward to the continued development also. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I just wish there was a way to clean up the zoning for properties like this without that kind of effort, but again, we thank you for that effort.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bernucci. Go ahead, yeah. Oh, sorry. Bernucci. I'm going to wait until after. I'm not skipping over you on. Sorry, I'm looking at it.
It's okay.
Commissioner Bernucci. No, sorry, you're at the end.
No
Commissioner
questions
Goodwin.
for me. Just
What's
ditto
my name?
everything they've said. We appreciate everything he's done, and I understand he's been there when we spoke to them before. He's been here many, many years, so we appreciate you staying.
Thank you. Yes, he is very dedicated to Southfield and developing his business along Telegraph. So we thank you for supporting this request.
There's another one of these weird procedural things where we all learn what was done 40, 50, 60 years ago, and hopefully they don't say that we screwed things up in 50 years from now either. But it makes sense to me to clean this up to always lead to future developments. I think that's a good thing. Planner Crowd.
First of all, I want to give you kudos, Ms. Lazarus. You've been working on this diligently, 3 properties now, cleaning that up. And there was a time not too long ago where I was concerned about the blight along this corridor. And parcel by parcel, small investor by investor, we're really transforming and making it a vibrant corridor again. So I know you've been involved in many different ways representing the Planning Commission, can take a lot of credit, and the City Council for trying to re-envision something that was created 50 years ago with some trepidation and fear of the unknown. And we're trying to unbox ourselves out of all those regulations and be flexible enough to get vibrant businesses here. And it's really, truly been a transformation, and I hope it continues to redevelop.
Thank you. I just want to mention that the Riverbank Homeowners Association, who was a party to these consent judgments, they've been very cooperative, and we also want to extend our thank yous to them publicly.
That's good. Thank you. All right. Any further comments from the commission? Looking for a recommendation from the planning department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are recommending favorable recommendation of this conditional rezoning. Once again, consistent with the Southfield Master Plan for regional mixed use in this area. The regional shopping allows a good mix of uses actually in and of itself. The rezoning for regional shopping allows it to be compatible with those other uses in the area, both on the front and on Northwestern and on Telegraph. The conditions, we'll have to execute and record a conditional rezoning agreement. We'll do that subject to approval by the city attorney. That's standard for conditional rezonings. And then approval and execution of the third vacation agreement by the city. One of the reasons why we're making this part of the conditions is you can't really rezone the property without vacating the consent judgment. They're like tied together. So the way we got around that was as a conditional rezoning, this rezoning really only goes into, like, it stands ready to go into effect once the consent judgment is vacated. So this just ties it to that third vacation agreement, and that GHG, which is Glassman, or an affiliated entity, will close on the purchase of the property. And then the property currently contains an office building, and the GHG is not currently proposing any redevelopment. It's as part of its rezoning request, but if there is future redevelopment, it'll be per the normal procedures of the city. So it really just kind of covers that we're getting rid of this consent judgment, we're zoning to regional shopping, and then in the future, it will be subject to the normal special land use, rezoning, site plan review procedures of the city, that henceforth. So it really does kind of unbox it and make it part of the city's ability to shape the future of this property along with the investors. As it was, we were just sort of trapped under this 50-year-old agreement that really left us with very few options for this particular property.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. Looking for a recommendation, or a motion from the planning.
A motion that we accept the favorable recommendation for the rezoning request of PCZR 25-0002.
Second.
Got a favorable recommendation by Dr. Stevens-Gunn, second by Commissioner Martin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. All right, favorable recommendation.
Thank you.
On the city council. Thank you. Next item is 16400 JL Hudson Drive, Overlay Development District rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Overlay Development District rezoning. So this is one of our flexible zoning tools to allow sort of for mixed use and adaptive reuse of properties. It's kind of the opposite of what we did when we made the I-1 industrial and the formal ODD Tesla project. This one we're looking at, it is a request of the Henry Yan Construction and the new foster care to take the Plaza Hotel at 16400 JL Hudson, which is a derelict building that's pretty blighted and been kind of a continuous problem in the last few years, and get that renovated and reused for mixed use, including residential apartments on the upper floors, along with support services for the new foster care. And the new foster care is a nonprofit that focuses on providing services and support for youth that are aging out of the normal foster care system. There's a really high rate of suicide, depression, incarceration, homelessness among the population aging out of the foster care system. And this is one of the nonprofits that's really trying to take on filling that gap and making sure that we're not just letting people fall into the abyss when they leave that system. So it really is, and there's going to be some additional commercial and office uses on the ground floor that are not part of the new foster care, but are using part of that facility as well. And the upper two floors are going to be offices for Henry Yan Construction, so they're going to be occupying part of the building as well, in addition to managing it. So they're going to be on site. So looking at the current zoning, it's in the Northland kind of district, and it's got regional shopping as the underlying zoning, but it's in the Downtown Development Authority District. So this kind of mixed use is pretty consistent with that type of master plan designation. We thought the ODD would be easiest because the mix of uses in this site is hard to fit into any zoning category cleanly, so the ODD was the easiest way to do that. Site aerial, you can see the hotel. It's got, some athletic facilities outside, pool, and some tennis courts, and then a fair amount of parking on the site. It had a pretty good-sized banquet hall as well that was pretty well known. This is what the building looks like pretty recently. It looks even worse on the inside, because I've been inside, and it's pretty scary. Just kind of the different shots of the tower, the parking lot. This is the overall site plan. They'll be working on renovating the building, obviously, getting the site cleaned up, restoring the parking lot, putting more landscaping and more islands in the parking lot. A lot of those islands and green area you see in the parking lot are not there now. It was just a big sea of asphalt. First floor, you can see the mix of uses here. The orangey is the public amenities. Those are, you've got like a daycare, a Head Start preschool, kind of a fitness center, cafeteria, some college classroom area for training, branch bank, and some personal wellness, mental health offices. The gray are residential amenities for the new foster care. The folks will be living in apartments. Or the blue. The gray is the back of house stuff, your storage and receiving, that sort of thing. That's the first floor, and then second through 12th floor, which are your apartments. You've got a mix of units. There's 3 different floor plans here. I think C was the correct one? B. B is the one that they finally fell on. I got all 3 in the submittal, but B, I've been told, is the one they're really looking at to go with. You've got, on each floor, you'll have 17 studios, 4 one-bedrooms and 4 two-bedrooms, so a nice mix. And that'll be the second through 12th floors. The 13th and 14th floor will be those offices for the applicant. We don't have a floor plan for those yet. They're still working on that. Landscape plan, as I said, there's islands going into the parking lot and restoration. And a lot of the landscaping was kind of cleaned up when Consumers was using this for staging. We made them do a little bit of cleanup on it, but this will be another level of really revitalizing the site as a good-looking part of the Northland District. Just some elevation renderings. The building exterior is going to get fixed up, but it's that building, as you can see. And then if the petitioner would come forward.
I just want to add, one of the exercises that they asked us for a potential grant was to tally up all the public investment within a mile of this site within the last 5 years. And based on the latest I saw, it was over $31.5 million have been invested in roads, infrastructure, pathways, greenscape, and so forth. So the city's been committed to improving this district, and we'd love to see this building rehabbed.
Good evening. My name is Travia Crawford, and I am part of the new foster care.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add? I know this is a very complicated, large project.
Do you want to step in?
Do you, let me,
I will let him add, and I will jump in as well.
she will speak to the operations and everything. Having presenting, I mean, Thomas does a great job of what we're trying to do here, explaining what's going on. There's a few, I'm more of a construction guy, so a lot of my thoughts are going to be revolved around that, not having the 13th and 14th floor planned out yet. We've got a structural review to see if we can open up the floor plan. The current construction of the high-rise portion of this facility is all poured, cast-in-place concrete, and cutting into concrete and supporting it to have this open floor plan is what our intention is, but until we get that far along in the process to be able to provide that. But the intent is, even if what's there, we're going to make it work, and we'll have probably 4 companies up there, mine being one of them, that would house and potentially interact with the young adults that are in there and be able to mentor and take part, just instead of just going through life working, have an impact on everything. So questions about operational, Travia will be able to respond to that. We have our engineer on site if there's anything comes up with the site work, and then myself on construction questions or anything along those lines. So again, the project is taking a current vacant building, creating a repurposing it for transitional housing, for supportive housing for youth aging out of foster care, having the wraparound services as were discussed with that first floor plan that would provide mental, legal, health, child care, the opportunities for learning, through Oakland Community College, skilled trades options, all these things to kind of stop the cycle, build self-confidence, not have to worry about where you're going to sleep at night, having a place, learning a skill, getting out there in the workforce, and changing, the world, hopefully. So that's the plan, or take your questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up to the commission. Oh, wait. It's a public hearing. Sorry. This is a public hearing. I'm going to ask you again to step to the side for
Absolutely.
a brief second. I'm going to open up the public hearing for this project at this time. If any members of the public would like to come forward and speak on this item, please do so at this time. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Please come back, and we'll open up to the commission for comments. And Dr. Stevens-Gunn.
Thank you for having me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To Planner Crowd, I have a couple questions regarding revenues. Will this property generate revenues for the city? And if so, how much? Because look, currently, even with it being vacant, they're still paying taxes. And through the years, they have continued to pay taxes. So what's the
Well,
plan?
That's not specific to what you're deciding on tonight.
Mhm.
However, if you would like to try to answer that, because I don't know if, and we're always careful when we use the term payment in lieu of taxes. I don't know what it's going to be a not-for-profit operating this, but I don't know what arrangement has been made with the city. I just want to be careful that's not germane to you making your decision on the ODD. If you'd like to try to answer that, that's fine, but that shouldn't factor one way or another.
No, it was directed,
No,
that's why I directed it to you.
I know that, but I can't answer that question.
Okay.
So there are tax-based companies that will be in there that will be paying taxes.
Okay.
We're going to be located in the city of Southfield, paying city of Southfield taxes for those companies, 100% on those top two floors, 13 and 14. There are, of the 2 through 12th floor, one of those floors, 100%, will be market-based rates. The other housing would be the not-for-profit in that area. On the main floor, it's going to be a mix of commercial tax-based companies that will be in there. Some of them will be open to the community. Other things will be specific to residents. So percentage-wise, throwing a number without 100% knowing, if this is not 100% defined, the first floor, I believe, 45,000 square feet would be tax-based. 17.5 would be part of the not-for-profit. 2 through 11 would be not-for-profit. 13, 14, and 15 would be tax-based.
Thank you.
Commissioner Martin? You're all finished, Dr. Stevens?
I'm done.
All right. Commissioner Martin?
In looking at the hours of operation that were provided, I do understand the variations for different things, but the hours that you give us are the hours that you're stuck with. I would suggest that you look at some of the hours, like you have the commercial kitchen from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. I assume you're looking at serving food from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. that way. Is that hour earlier and hour late enough to prepare food, to start preparing in the morning and to clean up at night? Do you think that there's going to be people after those hours that work? I'm saying if you need more time, add more time now. You don't have to use it once you're there operational, but you have those hours set so that you're not worried about any conflict with the plan.
Thank you for that suggestion, and I will make sure that we identify the correct times and make sure that that is enough time for that. The kitchen that will be available will be services for some of the residents that are there. They will have their own apartments as well where there will be food there, but I understand what you are, so
I just
thank
use
you.
that as an example
Yeah,
because that was the
absolutely.
easiest for me to come up with. And, like offices, you say
Correct.
5 o'clock, people aren't going to get
Out
up
the
and
door.
leave. Somebody's got to clean up at night.
Absolutely.
Somebody's got to see that everything was done, that type of thing. That's all give yourself time when it's
Absolutely.
available now rather than cut it short when you need it. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you for looking out for those that need the assistance.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Willis?
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. So first of all, this is a former hotel. I have visited the hotel a number of times. It comes equipped, I believe it has a swimming pool, a bar, and other amenities what do you anticipate doing with the swimming pool, with those kinds of areas?
We are planning to, let me step back, I'm sorry, keep and repurpose the swimming pool, and that will be designated use for the residents only. And your other place that you were,
Well,
the
I
bar?
know there's a bar there.
Yeah, we're not going to keep a bar at all inside of
Understood.
there. It will just be a restaurant. And that restaurant will be used to help the residents learn cooking skills.
Okay, so I assume with the bar, with the swimming pool, you'll keep it locked
Absolutely.
and monitored?
Absolutely, as well as the residents will have a key card, and just like some of the hotels, they will only be able to access their floor with that key card.
Would I be able to have access to the swimming pool if I desired?
No, unless you're a resident.
Okay. The capacity of the entire building, I hear a mixed use. How many families do you anticipate supporting? Or how many people do you anticipate supporting under your program?
There's 275 units there, and the two-bedroom units are the ones that are reserved for the families, and a lot of the one and studio apartments will be reserved for those single families or families with no children or maybe one child.
Okay, so 500 people? And I think I'm asking because
Yes.
you're also talking about wraparound services for them, and I would wonder if you could anticipate wraparound services without having an idea how many people would come in and what their financial and all of the other circumstances are.
Very good question. So yes, they will have wraparound services that will be available, but not everyone will need and utilize the services. So currently, right now, we have transition navigators that work with our participants in our program, and that ratio is 15 participants per one navigator. In addition to that, we will have supporting housing staff as well that will be there to kind of help offset some of the numbers that we will have. And as this project grows, we will grow with our agency as well and hire enough staff members to make sure that we're able to provide the proper services.
You used the word available. Are those individuals giving the services, will they be housed in this building, or are they housed someplace else?
There will be residence advisors, for lack of a better word right now, that we will have assigned to the floors, 2 per floors. And so, yes, to answer your question, they will reside on site.
Okay. I'm always concerned about public transportation. Do you have, and I see there's a parking lot, do you have any, how are you looking at transportation, getting folks to work, for example?
So a lot of our participants already, and from what I understand, the location is perfect because there is a bus line that they will be able to utilize. In addition to that, some of our residents, or the participants that we work with, they do have their own vehicles. We provide bus passes. We also transport our clients as well if needed and when needed to certain things. But the other plus about this project, a lot of the service will be in-house, so they really won't have to leave the facility or the area unless they're just going to visit family or friends or going to work off-site.
Will you have something to monitor visitors, concern for their safety or concern with those visitors?
Absolutely. We plan to have security outside in the parking lot, driving around in the parking lot. There will also be a security at the front when you walk in. And then in addition to that, there's only one entryway. So you can only come in for residents through the front door, and there will be separate entry areas for the kitchen or cafeteria area in addition to the daycare and the clinical services.
Don't want to take all the time, but I'm curious also about medical. If a person has a medical emergency or a person who has ongoing need for medication, what do you anticipate doing to address medical needs?
When you say ongoing need for medication, anyone residing in these units should be self-sufficient and should be able to care for themselves medical-wise. However, in the event of an emergency, security would be on staff, and 911 would be the first suggestion for them to call.
Okay, I might take it a step further with this. Medical marijuana is okay. It's legal in this state. Do you have a policy addressing?
Absolutely. It will be a drug-free zone.
So if I have a prescription for medical marijuana, I would not be able to reside there if I continue to use it?
That is correct. That would be part of their application, and they would have to understand that prior to signing a lease.
And then what do you do for more acute situations or emergencies?
You said acute or
Acute,
emergency?
Yeah, or emergency.
As far as
A medical situation.
medical situation. After hours, are you asking, or?
All day.
Yeah, we would definitely encourage them to call 911. We are not medical professionals, so we would not want to step in and try to take the role of that professional.
Okay. I am also curious, has Southfield Police kind of evaluated the building for safety for, both for the public and for residents?
I will ask Tom to answer that question.
So part of our initial review, the police department did an evaluation of the building, and they made a number of suggestions, and a lot of it will have to be incorporated into the final design with the building, because you're not going to see it on a piece of paper like this. But one of them would be, there's up along Jail Hudson Drive, having the shrubs there, having ability to, from 3 feet to 6 feet, that there's clear line of vision for the cruisers going by, having locks on doors, heavy-duty locks, and having security, cameras, burglar alarm, things of that nature. There's a few more suggestions they made with regard to glass and different things, but that would all be incorporated in the design and would be subject to future review by the building department and planning and zoning.
Okay. I can't think of any questions right now, so I'll pass. Thank you.
Through the chair, I'd like to just address a couple of Mr. Willis's comments. I just want to remind the commission that the police department reviews every site plan application. We work closely with crime prevention. But on the higher profile projects, I know the police chief personally gets involved in the review, and we've had a number of break-ins and other issues with the building being vacant. So Tom mentioned crime prevention through environmental design, which we talked about removing overgrowth, allowing that 3-foot eye view into the site will create greater security. So we do this routinely for each of our reviews. The overlay development district and high profile projects gets an extra layer of crime prevention review, and we work closely with the police department. With regard to public transit, both SMART and DDOT provide services within a half a mile or closer to this facility. That's another reason why they chose this. As Northland gets further developed out, there'll be additional stops located throughout the district. And we're investing in a lot of non-motorized pathways, and this is a very walkable area. So as I mentioned, we have invested over $31.5 million in roads, utilities, infrastructure, and some of that reflects the non-motorized pathways that we've put in and that we've been funded for. So we've been concentrating on making this much more pedestrian friendly. Again, another checkbox in your grant applications. So I just wanted to say that these are things that we looked at very closely. We've been working with them for probably a year and a half, 2 years now. Yes. And every department has been working feverishly to provide the resources and the information they need to be successful for additional grant funding.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Gruber.
Well, I want to tell you that this is such an exciting project, and the fact that you picked Southfield is, I mean, we all were just blown away at the last meeting. We're very, very excited about this. I just have 2 questions about the swimming pool. Are you going to have a lifeguard?
Absolutely.
And are you going to give swimming lessons? Because I would imagine that people who grew up in foster care probably didn't have access to learn how to swim.
That is my hope. I literally just brought that up yesterday when I was speaking with the team about that, making sure that if we have the pool, we need to look at offering that class. So I'm pretty sure, yes, it will happen.
Okay, that would be great.
Yes.
Good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Goodwin. You can talk the rest of the night.
I am ecstatic because for one, you're repurposing, this huge building, And the reason why you're repurposing it is, you know, above and beyond, because we have so many young people that have aged out and need the assistance and need the mentorship. And I am just over the moon with this, okay? So I'm so happy that you guys chose us.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burnett?
Thank you. I also would like to thank you for your vision, because the youth they need this, you know, so I just want to also add that the skilled trades program, that's an absolute must, because education now is becoming so expensive to go to college.
Absolutely.
And some just, you know, they just don't want to go. And so you're providing them with something where they will have a life skill without having to, you know, have a bill at the end of the education.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for this.
you.
We look forward to you doing it. That building has been vacant for so long. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's hard to visualize how large this project is, just seeing it on the same size screen as, you know, the first couple projects today, and how complicated this is, and how large a 300-unit apartment building is. I mean, it's like, if you build 300 houses, that's many streets, you know? So it's important to adaptively reuse these buildings. It's rare to find someone that can take on such a large, expensive, frankly. I mean, this is a complicated, expensive building. It was expensive when they built it, and then it went completely out of favor. And it's good to have a use that actually, you know, can put everything together in one location, and the creativity to get all the funding and all the different pieces and parts. It's a very difficult redevelopment process. And I think it's good that we have flexible zoning in this city. We didn't always have it, to redevelop some of these buildings, to get housing and other commercial uses in the same area. And it makes so much sense for walkability and people that lack their own personal vehicles and things like that. And just the central location that the city of Southfield usually has. And, you know, this is a very central, you know, close to transit kind of a location. So, I mean, this one's it's not like you look up in 3 months and go, are you done yet? You know, it's like, it's going to take a while, but this is an important, it's an important redevelopment project. So I think it's exciting to see something like that come to the city. And, you know, it's not like every city has this building sitting here waiting for you to go, hey, let's just move in and hang our sign on the door. So I think it's important to, like, note that, just like you said, you've been working with the city for 2 years before you even come to these meetings, and you're well prepared and well explained. So if we don't talk about it for a little while, it doesn't feel like you did all the work was worth it. Commissioner Martin.
Mentioning how long of a development process this is, once you go through all the approval processes and that, do you have any idea of how long the reconstruction and refitting of the building will take?
Yes, we have. That's definitely in the works. We're looking at, if everything goes well. I said, personally, I'd like to just thank everybody that we've worked with in the city of Southfield to get to this point, because, you know, as the chairman noted, this is a very difficult project. There's a lot of layers to it. Planning Director Crode and Deputy Planner have been bending over backwards, along with, you know, Molly with DDA and, you know, the mayor and city manager, et cetera. So having said that, to answer your question, we're looking at, with the processes of applying for the different funding that's available, LIHTC, MISTA, there's applications and there's a process. We would love to get started on construction yesterday. But due to that process and NEPA approvals and whatnot, we're looking at the summer of 2026 to break ground. And I'm expecting it to be 18 to 24 months construction period to be done with that. Now, could we get certain areas built and turned over as we're working our way up? That would be, you know, the case that we would be able to, you know, again, depending, working with building department, our systems in place? Is the fire suppression complete? Are the elevators working? And then you got lead times on everything. Getting an elevator right now, you're, a year out. So, I mean, even, to make those decisions now on design. But again, it's very complicated, a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of interest in it. We're able to meet a congresswoman out there this Friday. The city of Southfield is going to be present for that. And there's a lot of state support. County commissioners been involved, and a lot of support there. The city of Southfield's been great. So I hope a long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah, we do have another hotel if you'd like to get that. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead.
Chair, I'd like to recommend approval of PZRO. I'm
You can
sorry.
do that in just 1 minute. We have a recommendation from the planning department first.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, we are recommending favorable consideration of the PZR ODD 25-0001 to rezone this land for the purpose of a mixed-use development, apartments, support services, commercial and office uses, as indicated in the plans that have been presented. It is the Southfield Comprehensive Master Plan. This is the Downtown Development Authority area, and it's a regional node of shopping, office, healthcare, and mixed use like residential also is part of that. So it really does fit that mixed use profile. It's part of the established Northland Sub-Area Redevelopment Plan. It was approved in 2017, part of the Boundary District, which does call for mixed use residential multifamily uses being specifically permitted. So a lot of planning's gone into this area, as I'm sure Planner Krug could go over in detail. He's been here for much of it or all of it. The rezoning is consistent with the overlay development district regulations. The proposed ODD would allow the petitioner to renovate the existing vacant hotel building for adaptive reuse, mixed commercial and residential. And the support services kind of fall into the commercial category, even though they're nonprofit. The proposed rezoning would not be adverse effects to the adjoining districts or land uses. Arguably, getting rid of this blighted empty building or having it reused and put back into use would actually improve that area greatly. Buildings and improvements should be constructed consistent with the plans before you today. There'll be some refinements as they go on, but that's why we say consistent with rather than identical to allow us to get to those final versions. And the petitioner is to work with the planning department and the city attorney to finalize the overlay development district agreement.
Thank you. Commissioner Martin, do you have any ideas?
Yes. I'd like to recommend favorable approval of PZRODD 25-0001.
I second it.
Favorable recommendation by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Bernuti. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Through the chair, if I could suggest, since we've gotten through all of our items, one last call to the petitioner regarding the first item. Otherwise, we have a one item meeting scheduled for next week. You could postpone to a date certain. We could put this item first, so the audience knows in advance that we'll be deliberating on this next week. That's my recommendation if they haven't shown up right now.
Is the petitioner for 24412 Southfield Road in the crowd? I don't see them. All right. Any discussion from the commission of the potential to postpone to next week for this item? Commissioner Martin?
I was just going to recommend postponement to a date certain, being March 26th at our meeting.
Any further discussion before?
No, I'd just like to thank the public for the time that they've had to stay here for this. It's unfortunate, but we'd like to do this as fast as we can.
Well, we have a motion to postpone to a date certain of next Wednesday by Commissioner Martin on the floor.
Support.
And we have a support by Commissioner Goodwin-Dye. All in favor of postponing, this is item PCZR 25-0001 to next Wednesday, March the 26th?
Yes.
And likely the site plan as well, I would assume, the PSP.
Oh, yep, PSP 24-0011. Both items postponed to the date certain of next Wednesday.
Can we make this the first item on that? agenda?
Yes, that's what I suggested. We'll make this first, and then we'll discuss the CIP after that.
All right, so all in favor of postponement to next week?
Was there a second?
Yeah, Commissioner.
Oh, sorry.
Or good with that?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. All right, the item's postponed to next week.
Can we,
Do we have the meeting minutes from February 5th and February 19th?
Those were provided in your packet, the regular study meeting minutes and the transcript from the 19th. We're just looking for an adoption of those so that we can get them published.
motion to approve the minutes of February 25th study meeting and February 19th regular meeting of the Planning Commission?
Second.
All right, favorable motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Martin, second by Dr. Stevens-Gunn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No.
Mr. Chair, why don't you just ask them to leave so we can finish
Yeah, thank you.
our business without...
Excuse me, we're still conducting our meeting. Could you continue your conversations outside, please? Thank you.
I wanted to allow them to leave before public comment, just in case. You know,
that's a
they
good
don't have to
idea.
stay around any longer than they need to.
Agree.
Kind of feel bad for him.
All right.
So if by any chance the petitioner doesn't show up next week, Tom will contact them, then you can make a recommendation one way or the other. You know?
You'll have given them more than ample opportunity. And while we were waiting, Alex actually emailed and texted them, or emailed them anyway, and there was no email and texted them, there was no response, so I don't.
So, yeah.
I send a reminder out the Thursday before to all applicants, and generally they respond. I probably have a response email from them, so
We always give everyone a benefit of doubt. Something could have happened.
Yeah.
There could have been a family
Family
emergency or
emergency,
something.
health crisis.
Yeah, something. So
things.
I think that's fair. They are all aware now next week. And then if they no-show again, you can either postpone them or you can make a recommendation without them. So I think we're being more than fair by giving them an extra week.
Yep.
All right.
This happens every once in a while. It's one reason I send the reminder out, because I don't want to hear oh, I forgot. That I don't want to hear.
We don't want to hear it either.
All right. It says a public comment portion of the meeting. I'd like to open up the public comment at this time. See no members of the public present. Close the public comment. Now we have the council items update.
Yeah, just a couple items. Berkside Dog Bar was in front of council, was introduced and discussed. That's coming back on Monday for its public hearing and final action. It seemed like it was well received.
Yep.
Yep. And then the second one is that we've had another consent judgment, one for Sherwood Square, which is the shopping center. It's on Greenfield and Lincoln. I think that's where it's at. And there's a consent judgment that probably they're looking to modify, because it really does seriously constrain, the Jerusalem Pizza there wants to take over the adjacent tenant space and expand, and the consent judgment limits them to 2,000 square feet, and it would take them to 3,500 or something. So there's just these constraints from 40, 50 years ago that are preventing the property from adapting, and it's a new owner who's trying to refill the center, and Jerusalem Pizza is a good anchor tenant that's successful there. So they want them to expand. They want to refill those with vital businesses. And they're looking at a potential development on the north vacant part of the property. And it's just the current consent judgment and the underlying zoning just makes it very difficult. So this is another one that they're approaching council about this. I believe it was actually conditionally approved.
Yeah, so the council didn't want to wait for subsequent meetings. So they approved a condition upon them working out the language with the city planning and the attorney. Tom and I reviewed the underlying zoning because they wanted to vacate it. But that actually would have constrained them more if it went back to the underlying zoning. So we've proposed amendment that allows them to be able to expand, and it would be a Fourth Amendment.
Yeah.
So they've got some follow-up to do with us, but council approved it subject to. So we think we've worked out some language that will allow them to move quickly on at least expanding the Jerusalem Pizza, and then subsequently coming back for a new development on the north parcel, which you would see at a later date.
Yeah, it would still be subject to site plan approval. so it'd still come to this body. The consent judgment did specify that those were still subject to site plan review. So just letting you know that's coming. So some of these consent judgments, we're getting interest in these properties that have kind of been stuck, and we're getting investors who want to really kind of take them and move them to the next level, which I take to be a positive. Somebody's willing to go through the trouble of changing a consent judgment, which is not fun or easy. That really shows a level of investor interest. So, I view that as an optimistic sign.
This is across from Oak Park, across from that
Yes.
Kroger redevelopment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, City of Oak Park's really being progressive lately, and all that redevelopment along 11 Mile, new bar, microbreweries, restaurants, I mean,
Yeah.
that's good. That for years and years, they weren't doing anything, so I think it's good that the next interest is still coming into Southfield, but let's keep the momentum and get those dollars on this side of the road.
Well, I frequent that shopping plaza on a regular basis, and recently they have done a phenomenal job with the parking lot, with the new tenants that they have in there, and I'm excited for them to have the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, it's a new owner. We met with them last year, basically, and they really wanted to put some money and kind of repossession these centers. So they got the one that's at 9 Mile in Greenfield too. That's the other one that they bought.
And so I drove up and down there today. You may not be aware, but they backfilled the old Art Van with a new furniture store.
Yeah, Fifth Avenue.
Really?
Yes, and then I went by where the old Kroger site was and saw the 3 facades. And I was a little skeptical in the beginning, but I think the proportions, we work closely with them. The proportions look good, and they seem to fit within the building's footprint. And the clock tower still extends out. They're not finished, but you can see the scale.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to work out pretty good.
And the 3 new tenants there are Burlington, Ross, and Five Below.
Right.
Is that the Kroger?
The former Kroger.
Remember they
Yep.
gave?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming along.
I was by there too recently and noticed that.
Yeah, we're seeing some reinvestment. Some of these positions these properties that limped along, I seem like they're coming back. So I'm optimistic.
We're going to continue working with Oak Park to partner on additional improvements in the Greenfield corridor.
Good.
For the Greenfield and Lincoln, are they going to refresh the outside, the facade? Because it's a little worn.
Yeah, I think their thoughts are like they want to kind of get it filled up and get it positive revenue, and then they're going to do further improvements to the property is how they described it. They took one that was a little distressed. They're like, if we can get it, they're keeping up the property, which is a first step, get it released, get it cash positive, and then you can start making those capital expenditures you need to make to reposition things long-term. There's probably a lot of deferred capital expenditures on that property they've got to do something about, would be my guess. They're doing a lot of catch-up on that property. When we first met with them, I wasn't so sure, but they really do seem like they're going after repositioning these and making them more vital properties, so I'm optimistic with the new ownership, and sometimes that's what it takes. A new owner comes in and says, I see the potential of this property, and they put the money in to get it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Anything further?
the miscellaneous, we just have the meeting next week for the CIP public hearing and potentially the oil change, I guess, if they show up. I'll send them like, hey, you guys didn't come, we postponed it to next week, you need to show up. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll provide some form of explanation. Things do happen. I've been doing this for over 20 years. Terry's been doing it longer. Car accidents, health issues. I've seen a family issue comes up. I've seen a number of things happen where people intended to be there, but certain things happen. Your plans go out the window, So it does happen. We'll follow up with them and see what's going on.
I also just want to mention that we've been working with the City of Detroit, Oak Park, the 8 Mile Boulevard Association, and Southfield on a campaign called Let It Be Light, which I'll be introducing next week at the council meeting. It's another patronicity crowdfunding campaign. We're eligible because we're redevelopment ready. If we raise $50,000 in 60 days, we get an additional $50,000 match. And the underpass that MDOT's 8 Mile that goes over Greenfield, it's dark.
Yeah.
And we've had issues with homelessness and graffiti and so forth. One idea was to do a mural, but it's still dark. So the mayor brought in a firm that does uplighting and downlighting with color lights, LEDs that can be programmed and changed. We got an initial grant from 8 Mile Boulevard Association. Oak Park, Detroit, and Southfield are all contributing money. But it's about a $270,000 project. And we're going to be launching that campaign. You can go to the website, $5, $25, up to $10,000. There's different donor levels, and there's different gifts and rewards, recognition. But I just wanted to mention it to you. Every little bit counts. When we did the Red Pole Park, we had a couple thousand people donate $5, $10, $25. When we did the Save the Bear, we had $100,000 raised by $1, $5, $10. So every little bit helps, and it is, I think you can.
Go to the website.
You go to the website. There's a patronicity website, but I'll be providing those details, and then we'll have a handout.
Good.
Alex, if you can print off what the mayor did, and we'll bring it to you next Wednesday, okay? But I wanted to mention that, and please, help get the word out, because again, that's another reinvestment in that area. I just added up today, we've spent over $81,000 just on our median improvements, not including what Oak Park has done. And we want to do more on the north end of Greenfield. And then at the corner, we spent about $13,000 doing the new sign. And the property owner spent tens of thousands of dollars doing the landscaping. We got funded, I don't know if Tom shared with you, the TAP grant from M1039 interchange to Greenfield. And this year, Evergreen to M10 is going to be under construction. That's fully funded. So the next 2 years, you're going to see a 10-foot bike path from Evergreen to Greenfield. So we're going to be ripping up the 5-foot sidewalk in the DDA area and putting a 8 to 10 foot pathway. And then when that's all done, we'll virtually have 6 linear miles along 9 Mile, which has now been branded 9 Line. And what I'd like to do is, at some study session, come and present the full plan. It finally got adopted while I was out. We've been working on this for a year and a half, but initially we have our 6 communities: Hazel Park, Ferndale, Oak Park, Southfield, Farmington, Farmington Hills. But now Novi, Northville, Lyon Township, and South Lyon are joining us to extend the entire 36 miles of Oakland County. And as I've said before, you can get on the City Center Trail or on 9 Mile Trail and then connect to the Joe Louis Greenway via Livernois, or go to the 275 Metro Trail that you can go down to Lake Erie Metro Park, or you can go up to the Michigan Airline Trail that crosses M5 there, and then that is part of the Lakes to Lakes Trail. You can go up to Lake St. Clair and Lake Michigan eventually, but there's literally going to be hundreds of miles available to Southfield residents via bike, and it's been a long time dream and passion of mine, and it's just great to see it all come together. And we'll be adding placemaking elements and art. Tom and I met with the graphic designer yesterday to come up with the first trailhead at Bowervick Woods Park, which is in our center, but it's strategically in the center of this whole corridor. And we just see big potential. And then hopefully small businesses, nothing like an ice cream shop along a bike trail, or a burger joint, or even a microbrew. And that Plum Market down at 9 in Losser, they're in our office doing admin review to upgrade their facade and change the entrance of their building. Yeah.
And flying, it's got their steel on site, getting ready to cut the construction done.
Welcome back, Clarence Crowe.
Thank you.
About a minute since you were here. All right. All right, everybody good?
Yep.
All right, meeting adjourned for today.
Thank you.